Pam and Renee Untamed here. We are ready to start the next episode of our, we're pretty untamed, start the next episode of our podcast.
I'm not sure we're untamed. Oh, we are untamed.
We are untamed for sure.
Yeah.
Pam and Renee Untamed here. Just a little reminder, we're realtors here in Maryland. We're trying to help out here, giving everyone an opportunity to listen to these podcasts and get some few laughs and some good ideas on some DIY projects.
Hopefully some good ideas.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We know you'll get laughs. We just don't
That's
know what
right.
to do.
Yeah.
So we're here with another episode of Let's Talk About It. And today we're going to talk about how to replace deck boards in your home. You know, don't build a new deck if all you have to do is replace a few deck boards. And
So this comes up when you're looking at homes too. Sometimes,
Sure.
the deck is a mess. We only needed 3 new boards or
Right.
something. So
Or
this
something.
could help. Yes.
yeah, this is not a replacement for if the deck is falling down.
No.
We don't highly recommend that you just try to replace the boards.
Yes.
But we're going to discuss there how to replace some boards on a deck. So ready?
Ready.
Ready to go here.
Ready. Let's go.
So has your deck seen better days? I mean, we've all seen better days. I personally have seen better days.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to go into that.
No, we don't have
Okay,
to tell
good.
them. They can't see us.
That's
So
right.
it's probably just as well.
Yes.
You probably don't have to rebuild the whole thing because whether you have one bad deck board to replace or many, the process is the same. I question that because if you have one to replace,
It's a lot easier
Yeah.
than a lot more of them.
yeah, if you have, 25 to replace, it might take longer.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll show you how on an old weathered deck, because you can save hundreds of dollars in lumber by splicing in boards instead of replacing the entire decking.
Well, actually, we're just going to tell them how.
Yeah, we're not showing
We're
you.
not going to show.
No.
We don't do that kind of
Trust me.
work.
I'm going to say this. I say this in a lot of our podcasts. We come to your house. We're happy to come to your housewarming party. We'll bring food. We'll bring drinks, but we don't
Not
bring
hammer and
tools.
nails.
No.
No.
And we don't come dressed to replace the deck board.
Right.
So this is an overview first. Let's talk a little bit about an overview of a deck. So here's the strategy. You always have to have a strategy.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cut out the bad pieces so that the splices are offset by at least one joist width.
Oh, what's a joist?
Oh, let's look at that. Let's look at what a
Yeah.
joist is. Maybe we can tell you a little bit about a joist, or not, because a joist is the one going the other way.
That you're going to nail to.
Right. The
Help
joist,
support
the
deck.
support. Right. So
Okay.
you got the boards going, left to right, and the joist is going up to down.
Well,
Yeah. Got that? It goes
Okay,
the other
sure,
way,
sure.
and it's what you're attaching the boards to. And so you have to make sure that they're offset by at least a joist width and that the new boards are at least 2 joist spaces wide. Staggered splices look better and make a stronger deck. So you want to stagger the splices
you
on
don't want
your
to
deck.
see all your cuts in a line. They want to be
Right.
offset.
Because in a line, it would look like you needed to replace the whole deck.
Exactly.
So removing the bad sections and making the splices work. This isn't splices. I want to point out here, this is splices, not slices. Slices are pizza.
Yes, this is not
No,
pizza.
this is splices.
Yes.
Can be a bit of a puzzle. So get off on the right foot by making the replacement boards before starting. So you want to go out, you want to make the replacement boards that you're going to put in before you get started pulling out old boards.
So then you can put your puzzle together.
Together, right.
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
I'm not going to do it. I
Okay.
understand what we're saying here, but
Yeah, we're not doing it.
no,
Okay.
no.
So if you want a close match between the old and the new deck boards, you're going to have to match the species of wood.
That means the type of wood,
Right.
right?
It's kind of like this species,
Okay.
like dogs.
Yeah.
You would never replace your dog. Like if you
I
have
think-
3 dogs, you don't. You don't
This
replace
is not a
one
good
dog with
comparison.
you don't replace one dog with a cat and say you got the same mix. Okay.
No.
Right. So it's you got to do this with the same species of wood. It's tricky because weathered deck boards look alike. So you have to remove a board, cut it with a circular saw, and smell the wood to identify this.
Now this is news to me. I didn't know that they smelled the. I've seen people replacing decks. I never saw them take a whiff.
Yeah, so you got to take a whiff and
Yeah.
you smell it to pressure to identify it. Pressure treated pine has a sweet smell.
Uh-huh.
Cedar has an aromatic smell. aromatic smell.
Yeah, yeah.
And redwood has a more pungent smell.
Pungent, yes.
Um,
It does, however, last a long time.
yes, it does. Redwood does last a long
Because who
time.
wants to be near it? It's pungent.
Nobody goes out on the deck.
That's right.
No, that's not true.
No.
It says to ask your lumberyard to cut a scrap from each species, and then you match the smell to your own board. So who knew that when, it's not like sniffing drugs, but it is a little sniffing. There's some
I think
sniffing
that
involved.
maybe you do this when there's nobody home on either side of you in those houses. Because they're going to think you're a little weird.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you start cutting pieces
But
and
we
smell.
got it, yeah.
But the point is that you need to cut a little a board with a circular saw. After you take a rotted board, you got to cut it with a circular saw because that's how you can smell the wood.
Yes.
All right,
They'll rough it up so the aroma comes out.
it's real rich,
Yes.
like coffee in the morning.
But don't cut your coffee with a circular saw.
Oh, that's really bad. But coffee comes in species too. All right, let's move on this.
Yes, please.
So since you're going to be cutting random length replacement boards, buy the longest boards you can transport because they yield less waste. So like you're going to have different lengths that you're going to be replacing, but you don't want to waste pieces of wood because the lumber can be expensive.
Yes.
That when they say the longest board you can transport, clearly if you're putting it in your VW Bug, you're going to have a certain size board. If you're putting it in a pickup truck, you're going to have another size board. If you're planning to use your VW Bug, I highly recommend, or your little Audi, I highly recommend you get a friend who has a truck.
That's true. You could go with them to the
Yeah, because it's going to be really rough in something very small to drive home with the wood. Unless you put it in sideways, hanging out in the back windows. But that makes your car a lot
Well, if you
wider.
had a convertible VW.
Yeah,
that's
right.
with a trunk.
There you go.
A trunk,
there you go.
not a trunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So buy the longest boards you can transport because they yield less waste. As far as the nails, they should be galvanized or stainless steels, or you could use screws long enough to penetrate the joist by at least 1.5 inches. So the joist being the crossways pieces that you're going to attach the new deck boards to.
Right.
You want to make sure that if you're going to use screws or nails, they have to be long enough to penetrate the joist by at least 1.5 inches. So they got to go through the board and then into the joist. And the length of the fasteners depends on the thickness of your decking.
Of course it does. Yeah.
So, if you're using a thicker species of wood,
Yes.
you're going to need to make sure that you have longer.
So let's say your species that's going to be the decking is an inch. Let's say
Right.
it's inch thick, but you have to go in 1.5 inches into
the joist.
So now you're looking for something.
2.5
2.5
inches.
inches. The screw,
Or-
the nail, whatever.
We're realtors here in Maryland, but we're also really good with math. You can always count on
That's how
us.
we got that 2.5, right? Like
Right there, just like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the beginning of this. Make sure you've got the right species of wood and the right either galvanized or stainless steel nails or screws, and that they are the right length so they can go at least 1.5 inches into the joist that you're attaching the new deck boards to. Once you have cut sections of wood and you have long sections and you're there with them, you're going to now start cutting out the bad part of the board. So the recommendation is that you cut the section of bad board free from the joist at both ends with a jigsaw. So free from the joist, you gotta unattach them from the joist, cut them,
Right.
and make sure that you expose the joist so that you can go across it with the board and reattach the new board to the joist. It says cut alongside the joist using a speed square as a guide. A speed square is, that triangular speed square, the thing that it's like that's what it's called, is a speed square, right? You just go to
Sure,
the store
I'm
and you-
going with you on that one. I don't know about speed
Okay,
squares.
they
but
look
yes,
like
you want to make it.
they're a triangle.
You
It's a
want to
triangle.
make it exactly right.
Yeah, and it's metal, and you lay it down, and that's what you use.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, you can go to the lumber yard and ask them for a speed square.
Yes.
So you use the speed square as a guide, and you angle the saw blade a few degrees so that the new board is going to butt the top edge of the old board slightly, tightly.
Exactly.
not slightly, tightly.
Yeah, you want it as tight as you can be.
As tight as it can be, so you can put this new board in.
Exactly.
All right, so what we have here is we have, you need to be able to identify what a speed square is. I know that if I could hold this up for you, you'd know it was a metal triangle, and you use it to make a square, like a
Good
nice
guide for the line.
Right, exactly. And the new board has to butt the top edge of the old board tightly, nice and tight, so there's not holes in your deck.
Right.
It's very important. And you're going to remove the rotted piece of wood. And recommendation, always cut out pieces that span at least 2 joist spaces. We talked about this, so that you can attach the new board to the joist underneath. This keeps the new boards from splitting as they age. I don't know, do you split as you age?
Well, you start looking at those wrinkles and you're afraid, very afraid.
Could split.
Mm-hmm.
I hate splitting as I age.
Yeah.
I feel like I prefer to think that I age like fine wine.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You keep thinking that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So for the very best appearance, you need to stagger the splices from one row to the next by at least 1 joist space.
Right.
Again, this is, you don't want to just keep replacing things in a straight line, because then it's going to look like you should have replaced the whole.
Yeah, and you see this cut straight across. Then everybody knows. Oh, look at that!
Look at that! Look what he did.
Yeah.
So you want to stagger the pieces and the splices from, not the slices again, from a pizza. Although if you want to stop at this point and have a piece of pizza, it's probably okay. You probably earned it by now.
Could be.
Let's see. You may need to cut beyond the rot and remove intact wood to make the splices work. So good to know. You're not just necessarily removing
going right to the rot edge.
To the rot. Yeah. You want to take some of the good wood with it. It's more important to have a staggered set of splices so that your deck looks good when you're completely finished. Once you've done this, you position the new boards so that the growth rings cup down.
Okay.
Those growth rings.
When you look at the end of the board, you can see the growth rings.
And they need to cup down.
Yeah.
That's important. The grain won't split open and collect water as readily.
Right.
So it's very important that the wood is going the right way. For a really clean cut, identify the top side of the board, flip it over, and make the cut.
Right.
So you identify the top side, then flip it over and make the cut from the bottom side. The bottom of the board gets a cleaner cut because circular saw teeth cut from the bottom up. Remember, you're using a circular saw here.
Bottom up.
Bottom up. Bottoms up. We may need to take a break here and have a drink. Bottoms up. Did you care?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. Okay. This would be a part where you could, sip the beer or guzzle the beer, whatever you want to do, and take another bite of the pizza. The bottom, okay, we already discussed that. Bottoms up. When you cut a board, don't leave a knot at the end.
No, knots are not good.
Never
It's
leave.
a weak point.
It's a weak spot in the wood.
Yes.
Do not leave a knot at the end. To get a tight joint. I know how to roll a tight joint. Okay.
I don't.
Okay. To get a tight joint between old and new boards.
Yes, that's what you need.
Yeah. Angle the jigsaw slightly when cutting out the bad board, so the bevel on the remaining deck board is longer at the top.
Everybody got that?
Everybody got that. So you're going to angle. You're going to angle the jigsaw slightly when cutting out the bad board, because then the bevel on the top is a little bit longer.
It's not just a straight down. It's just a little bit slight.
A little bit. Yeah. Just a little bit.
That's great.
Now remember, the goal here is a tight joint.
That's it.
Okay.
On your deck.
I've been in a tight joint before. Have you?
All
right.
My God.
Okay.
All right.
Now, we want to talk to you a little bit about the types of tools that you are going to need for this project. The necessary tools for a DIY project should be all lined up, because you save a lot of time and frustration when you have the necessary tools. Of course, if you don't, you could stop for more pizza. If you have to go get more.
You could. Yeah.
Now,
But most people would.
Most people would.
They would rather get it done and then have all the pizza and beer.
True that.
All right, good.
Okay. All right. So the first tool that you need is a cat's paw. Now, I'm going to tell you that we are not 100% sure what a cat's paw is. I mean, I know what a cat's paw is.
But this cat paw, we're not sure. We're
No.
not sure.
And I would think that if you, maybe it's just to make sure that you make all the right cuts, because when you make the wrong cut and you
Go
step on
up
the
a
cat's
little,
paw.
and let's just, we can go up a little here and see if there's let me see.
What is this? Wait, maybe a cat's paw is that metal thing that you use to pull up the rotted boards. That's not a cat's paw?
I don't think. Okay, well, let's go.
Okay, well, a cat's paw, one of the things I'm going to tell you is once you have the cat's paw, which is one of the first tool you need, make sure you don't step on it because they always go meow.
That's right. That's bad. Very bad.
Very bad.
I don't know
step
about
on
the cat's paw. We're going to have to research
We're gonna
that
research
and get
that.
back at you.
Mm-hmm. You need a circular saw.
Okay.
We've discussed that. A circular saw is one that's round. The blade is round.
Yes. Now, we have to tell you, if you don't have all these tools, you do not have to go buy them all. You generally can rent them.
Absolutely.
And if you're only replacing 5-6 boards, don't go buy one if you're never going to use it again.
Correct.
So,
and you know, that especially goes for a cat's paw. You certainly can borrow your neighbor's cat.
there you go.
Yeah.
Got 4 of them, we think. Not 4 cats, but 4 paws. Yeah, okay.
Unless someone else borrowed one to that maybe the neighbor on the other side is using one of the paws.
Yeah. Watch
All
out
right.
for that. Yeah.
You need a drill driver, a drill/driver, cordless.
Okay.
Best cordless because this is where things get touchy. If you have a drill that you have to plug in and you keep hooking a bunch of extension cords until you get it plugged in the house, this is a tripping hazard.
Definitely.
And it's also a sawing hazard because you could
might saw
through
the
it.
electrical thing.
Yeah.
That's it. The end
So-
of the whole thing.
Get a cordless drill/driver.
And now they want you to get an extension
Well,
cord.
you do need an extension cord just in case you need an extension cord. I'm not sure why.
Maybe you have to charge it
Oh, charge the drill. Good.
beforehand. Okay.
Right. Then you also need a hammer. If I had a hammer,
Get the hammer in the morning. Okay, that's it.
Or I'd hammer my new
Cat's
boards or my cat's paw. There you go. And they're recommending hearing protection.
Well,
Now, the jigsaw, all these things can get loud.
yes.
So you may want some earphones. And if
Then you won't hear your significant other yelling at you or anything.
Exactly.
You know, just put that on.
what are you doing?
Sure.
You don't know what you're doing.
That's right, that's
right. So put your hearing
I'll
protection
make it
on.
work. Yes.
Okay. You need a jigsaw.
Okay.
Okay, we need a jigsaw, not a puzzle.
That's right.
You already have the
A
puzzle.
real saw.
A real saw.
Yeah.
You need locking pliers.
Okay.
That's so that you can hook them on and lock them onto
That's
a
right.
nut.
And they will stay locked.
And they
until
stay
you
locked.
Unlock them.
Right.
All right.
Next thing on the list is a miter saw,
All right. For corners.
corners. And that's where you use the cat's paw, I think.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We're not sure.
You need a pry bar. That's what that long thing was.
Yeah, but you forgot the nail
Oh,
set.
yeah, you need a nail set. A nail set.
And a nail set makes the nail go below the edge of the board.
Right.
So it's not popping out. Okay.
Correct. Because then you trip on the nail on
Could
the board.
be.
Or if you go out on your deck barefoot and you step on the nail that is what we call a nail pop, then it hurts
It's
the
a
bottom
problem.
of your foot.
It's
Yeah.
a problem.
So you do need a nail set.
Yeah. Okay.
You also need a pry bar. That's what you're going to use to like take
Yeah.
out the rotted wood, like
Yeah.
pry
you
it right out.
Stick it underneath the edge of the board and push it out.
I know that you guys are really impressed with our sound effects here.
We're good at this.
Yeah. And you need safety glasses.
To go with your hearing protection too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
You need some sawhorses, not seahorses. Seahorses get dried out on the
That's right.
deck.
They're
You
no
need
good.
sawhorses.
Now, why do you need sawhorses, you might ask yourself? Well, if you've
Self.
never done stuff like this, you're going to have a long board and you need to put it up on something and measure the piece that you want and then saw it. So you have something to hold the board. You don't want to lay it on the grass or anything.
No, because then you'll be sawing right into
That's
the
right.
grass.
That's it. So
People take
yes,
offense at that. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So you need a couple sawhorses. And you need a speed square, which I told you once or earlier. We talked about the
Yeah,
speed
yeah.
square. It's this metal thing. It looks like a triangle. If you ever took like geometry or, they have those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those, but it's metal.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a speed square. And you need a tape measure.
That would be definitely good.
Okay. That also eliminates the part where, you say, oh, I cut this board too short because I was just eyeballing it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
get a tape measure. And you want it, fairly substantial.
There's a saying, is I think it's measure 3 times, cut once.
Right.
Because if you measure once and cut, you probably messed it up.
Well, and if you measure once and cut, you can't cut 3 times.
That's true. That's
'Cause
true. Well, you
cut-
could keep making it smaller, but it's
Make it
probably
big.
isn't going to work anymore.
Okay. So, and then the directions that we're looking at do mention that it's important to avoid last minute shopping trips by having all your materials ready ahead of time. So the only materials, it gave you a whole long list of tools that you need, but the materials that you need, the deck boards and the galvanized nails and or screws.
So that would be the deck boards that you have smelled.
Yeah.
You sniffed them and you got the right kind of board. You already cut them and went in and sniffed and everything's good. Okay.
All good.
Yeah.
And so now you are ready to actually, once you've got all this stuff lined up, you're going to go begin taking out the rotted wood, and you're going to put in these new splices, and you're going to have this really great looking deck. So we hope that this was helpful. If you need to wait, I noticed we missed something here.
We did.
No, we didn't.
No,
The
we
bevel,
didn't miss
we talked
anything.
about the bevel being longer on the
Yes,
top than the bottom. Oh,
exactly.
I'm glad we didn't miss
Yeah.
that. Okay, so hopefully this has helped out. Don't put on a new deck. Just
Kind of refurbish.
replace the rotted wood on your deck by getting, making sure you get the right species of wood. Again, take off a piece and
The sniff
sniff
test,
the end,
yes.
and ask your lumber yard to cut you different types of species of wood so you can match the smell.
That would be good, yes.
You also could take the wood that the pieces that you took out to smell, you could take them with you to the lumber yard, and I bet the guys that work there would know what kind of wood it was.
Probably by looking. I don't even know if they have to sniff.
They don't probably have to sniff it.
But I will tell you, in a lot of places, lumber yards and or places we could buy any kind of wood like that, they often have a place where people had wood cut for them and there was a small piece left over and nobody wanted to buy it. It was too little, but they keep it there. So you might be able to have that to match for the smell.
You could go into the lumber yard and ask them if they have a section for sniffing.
Yeah, you could.
You
They'd
could.
probably look at you crazy. But other than that, yes. But I would say the next step you're going to take, though, is depending on what your surface looks like of your deck, if it was painted, stained, or anything like that, you're going to want to take care of that and match your new boards and cover everything so it looks the same.
But wait. Don't you have to let the new boards, if it's new lumber, don't you have to let them season before you?
I would say no. But we wouldn't season in our house. We snip, install, and take care
And be
of it.
done.
That's it. Yes.
Okay, that's a good question though to ask in the lumber yard.
Yeah.
My current deck is painted. Can I paint these new boards right away?
Right.
Can I stain them right away? Do I need to let them season? And how long do I need to let them season
Right.
for?
And if you have a painted deck, particularly, it's probably got some peeling paint. You're going to want to get that off of there because if you paint over it, it's just going to peel again.
Right.
And so that's bad.
So if near the edges where you have cut off the rotted wood, if you have peeling paint, make sure you sand that off.
Right. Make
And
it nice and smooth.
Get your deck completely ready. It will look almost like new.
It should.
It should.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, see you later.
Yeah. If it doesn't, you can always replace the whole deck.
That's right.
This was just
To try and help.
to try and help save a little
That's
money.
right. Especially when you're buying a new home.
Right.
A lot of money's going out and you want to make sure you're A-okay there.
And I do think that oftentimes we look at a deck and we think, oh, this deck looks like it needs to be completely replaced. But in fact, there are just a
doesn't
few
really.
rotted boards.
Right.
So it's a good thing to do.
So
we want to thank you for joining
We
us
do.
today. Just a reminder, Pam and I'm the Renee part. She's the Pam part. We are licensed realtors in the state of Maryland and more than happy to help you or anyone you may know who's looking to buy or sell a home. And we will continue to provide podcasts whenever we can that address some DIY projects to help save some money.
yes, we hope so.
Hope you find these fun to listen to and also informative.
Yes.
And if you want to reach out to us at any time for referrals, we love referrals. if you want to reach out to us, please feel free to do that. Let me make sure I can give you the right email address. You can reach us at pnr.untamed@gmail.com. That's pnr.untamed@gmail.com. In case you were wondering, that's Pam and Renee.
Renee.
Yep. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
tuning in, and hopefully we'll have you tune